It's The Last Stand. And here is your host, Brian Custer.
That's right. It is The Last Stand. We bring you some of the biggest names in the sport. I'm Brian Custer. And let me tell you, joining me today is a young man who many believe is the future of the 140-pound division. He is unbeaten, recently named Prospect of the Year by Ring Magazine. He is none other than Brandun Lee. Brandun, welcome to The Last Stand.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to finally to speak with you, and I'm honored.
Hey, it's great to have you on, young man. And listen, how did it feel when you got word that Ring Magazine says Brandun Lee Prospect of the Year for 2021?
I mean, that type of feeling was a feeling that's unexplainable because Ring Magazine. So you can't get better than Ring Magazine. It's a Bible of boxing. So when they announced me as Prospect of the Year, I was thrilled.
Got to be. Listen, you not too long ago recently graduated from Showbox to Championship Boxing. You knock out Juan Heraldez, and I guess the question is that everyone wants to know: is Brandun Lee now ready to compete with the elite fighters at 140 pounds? I
believe so. The people believe so. So I think it's only right to, start testing my skills and see what Brandun Lee can really do.
You've got this 15-fight knockout streak that you have going on. What kind of pressure comes with that? Because not only is there an expectation for you to win, but an expectation for you to do it in spectacular fashion no matter who you're facing.
There's no pressure at all. You saw with my last fight, I went for the knockout in the early rounds, and it wasn't there. So, I forgot about it. I had to settle my punches, and then I already changed my mentality. I was like, the knockout comes, it comes, and then boom, we got it in the 7th round.
And what's the kind of difference now that you've kind of made that graduation step from, let's say, the prospects you've been fighting on Showbox to now that you're to Championship Boxing? Have you seen the level of expertise in fighters that you're facing now and how different it is?
I have a bit. They stand up a little bit longer. I got to say that.
Interesting. So you and Jaron Boots Ennis, really tight. Guys are really close. How did that friendship come about between you two?
The first time I ever saw Boots was at a tournament in 2015. I remember he had a big crowd, so I was like, who does that do? So I'm looking, and he's just beating the shit out of this guy. So from there, I was like, damn, I'm a fan. And then he turned pro, and I turned pro maybe a year or two later. And then turns out we had the same manager, so we started fighting on the same cards, little shows, and from there we got close.
And at that time, how old were you when you first saw Boots? And do you recall the first time you guys, just started talking and talking about your skills and the way you guys train?
I believe I was 15, 16 when I first saw him. And then our first conversation was probably when I was 16, 17, around there.
At any time, did you ever think, man, I may have to fight this guy? Or was it I just want to meet him and see what is he doing, compare and contrast to see what I'm doing?
It was never I might fight this guy. It was more damn, let me watch this guy. Let me get my notepad and let me take some notes. Because, I said this before and I say it again. I already got Boots on my pound-for-pound list.
Wow, that's huge. And so many people will say, man, I want him in a big fight. I know he's skilled, but I need to find out if he's the real deal. You say what?
I say, when people that at the end of the day, all people are critics. That's their job. Is to talk what they talk, and no matter who I fight, who I beat, they're always going to say something. There's always going to be something negative for people to say, to point out.
It's interesting because you mentioned you both are managed by Cameron Duncan. And if Cameron Duncan's had one criticism It is that they say he protects his fighters, doesn't match them tough. People keep bringing that up about Boots. Now, they want to say it about Brandun Lee. Is that a fair criticism?
The only thing I can say about that, Cameron Duncan is doing one hell of a job bringing Boots and myself up. And his track record speaks for itself. He has over 30 world champions that he built up from, he had Timothy Bradley. He had Nonito Donaire. He had Jesse Vargas. Now he has Boots and myself. So his track record speaks for itself.
In your opinion, is Brandun Lee and Jaron Boots Ennis the future of the 140, 147-pound division?
Absolutely.
Why? Because
you see what Boots could do. And slowly but surely, people from Showtime are going to see what I can do. We saw a little bit with Juan Heraldez. I showed the world that I know how to box. A lot of people didn't know that. They just thought I was a puncher. But nah. So little by little, the more rounds I go, the more Brandun Lee, the true Brandun Lee is going to come out.
What separates Brandun Lee from some of the other fighters at 140 pounds? Is it what you possess? Is it the way you train? What separates you from the rest in that division?
I think overall, we all know that I have power and we all know that I have speed. So, I have both God-gifted talents in the boxing world. Because most of the time, it's either you have one or the other. And I have both of them. Same thing with Boots. He has speed and power. And, a lot of these dudes at 140, there's not a big punch at 140. I can't name one.
Interesting. So if Brandun Lee was his own manager, who is the guy out there in that weight division that you say, I would love to be in the ring with this guy right now?
There's no one out there. There's no one out there because at the end of the day, I'm just a fighter. Put someone in front of me, I'm going to do what I do. My main thing is to, from the 8 to 10 weeks I'm in training camp, just stay focused, stay dedicated. And no matter how tired I am, wake up 4 a.m, go on my morning runs and all that. So it doesn't matter who I fight, when I fight, just give me 8 to 10 weeks and I'll fight anybody.
And I find that interesting because generally you talk to a fighter and they'll say, whether it's the champion or whatever, hey, I got that's the guy whose picture I got placed on my mirror, who I get up every day and say, yo, I want this guy. This is why I'm training. This is the guy I wanted to fight because I want to show people I'm the guy. You say there is nobody there at 140 for you that pushes you like that.
No, not at all. I push myself. I motivate myself. The day we get an opponent, that opponent pushes me for 8 to 10 weeks. But right now I don't have an opponent, so I could care less about any 140-pounder.
Here's the one thing that I wanted to ask you. You're very active on social media and have a really good following. Brandun, what do you think about some of these guys who, let's say the Pauls of the world, very active on social media, have a nice following, and have parlayed that into millions after learning how to box here, took 2-3 years, learned how to box, and now they parlay that into millions of dollars with every fight. You've been doing it all your life. What are your thoughts about it?
Let's talk about the Paul brothers. The Paul brothers, I gotta give it to them. They can't fight worth shit, but they're doing one hell of a job for doing marketing. Think about it. Every time they fight, they'll be like, every time they have a fight, not only do they get paid, but everything else goes up. Their subscribers on YouTube go up. Their following on Instagram goes up. So I truly believe that for boxing, they might say they love it, but in all reality, they're all doing it to push their fame, their stardom, and all that.
Mm. Because you have been active on social media and certainly have is there anything that you would say, they do this really well, and I think us as fighters could maybe take that from the Pauls and use that going forward? Is there anything that you guys, and I'm talking you as a collective, as a fighter, can learn from them and what they've done?
Maybe it's not really the Paul brothers because Jake, he talks a lot of shit, but he's not the one who started talking shit. You got Pretty Boy, he's the one who really started that. And then from there, you got Hector Camacho who really started that. So, and the list goes on.
Interesting. So listen, you're a boxing prodigy. Been boxing since you were a young little tyke. And like myself, a huge Bruce Lee fan. You were named after his son. Why boxing and not martial arts?
Man, I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. My grandfather used to box. He was in the Army, and my uncles used to box, and then my brother used to box. So I feel like at a very young, because my brother and I were 9 years apart. He's older than me. So I feel like he got all the attention when I was a child just because he boxed. So when I had my opportunity, and I was like, I could do what he could do. He might be 9 years older than me, but I could still do that. So when I started training, I was like 2 years old when I first ever went to a boxing gym, and I would just watch, run around the ring, be a little kid. And then I remember the coaches used to work with me. I was like 3 or 4 or whatever. I didn't know what I was doing. But my brother stopped boxing. As soon as he stopped boxing, I was like 6, I believe, 6 or 7. And as soon as I started, I just never stopped.
Wow. And, you work with your father. Your father's basically been your trainer, been your coach. Why is that work? Because we've seen in this sport how sometimes that just goes left when father and son are trainer fight. But why does it work with you?
Me and my father, we have a good understanding. I feel like at home, where we got the father-son relationship, and in the gym, we got student and teacher relationship. But, no one's going to love me the way my father loves me. So to have him as my coach is probably the best option for me.
Yeah, interesting. What are your goals, Brandun, in the immediate future, and then ultimately, what does Brandun Lee want to accomplish in this sport?
In the sport, I want to be, of course, a world champion. I want to be a world champion. I want to be a unified world champion. And eventually, I want to move up to 147 and become a world champion. And from there, those are my 3 top goals right now. Possibly go for undisputed. But my 3 top goals, that's them right there.
And we know how close you are with Boots. Is there anybody out there in the sport that you look at and you're like, man, I really enjoy watching this guy fight because he's really entertaining?
Boots, Shakur Stevenson. Probably Boots and Shakur Stevenson. That's all I can think of, top of my head.
Interesting. Brandun, for people who come on the show, we let folks who watch submit questions. We got a number of them through social media, so I want to get to some of their questions. This first one comes from Twitter, and it says, what fighter did you watch growing up that you tried to groom your style around?
Easily Pretty Boy Mayweather as a child. Because back in the amateur days, there was a point system. So, touch him, that's a point. Touch him, that's a point. So I want to be like Pretty Boy. And then I really like watching Pernell Whitaker, James Toney, Aaron Pryor, Mike Tyson, Hector Camacho. And, yeah.
When did you get all of a sudden from being that guy who was slick, hit, not get hit, to this power puncher type guy? When did that come about?
I would say around age 12 to 13. I think that was like the first time I dropped somebody. So I was like, damn, I got power. So we kind of shifted my style a little bit. Instead of boxing going around in circles, we kind of sat down a little bit and put pressure.
This next one comes from Tom. He says, listen, I heard you were also a college student. I'm curious, how do you balance the rigors of school and boxing, and what does a typical day look like for Brandun Lee?
The way I balance school boxing is, during the day, I work on schoolwork. All my classes are online because, COVID. So I do a Zoom class, and then I work out in the afternoon. But a typical day for myself, when I'm in camp, wake up at 4, go run, make breakfast, go to the grocery store, buy groceries, or go to Target, just buy stuff for the house, take a nap, eat lunch. I'll just chill, maybe watch TV, and then I'll work out, go for my second run, and then take a shower and just chill. rest my body.
Talk to me about school. Where are you in school? Where are you taking classes? And are we getting our bachelor's? Where are you in the process?
So I'm currently going to Cal State San Bernardino. I'm going for my bachelor's. I got my AA about a year ago, 2 years ago, and my major is criminal justice. But I'm only taking 1 or 2 classes.
And what do you want to do?
I like to become a customs agent after boxing. Yeah, I'm not the type of person that could go to the same job every day and do the same thing over and over. You know, I like to be outside and I like to explore stuff.
And how long do you see yourself as a fighter?
Until I accomplish my goals.
Got it. And always wanted to be a customs agent?
No, I always wanted to be a boxer. But after that, my parents started talking some sense into me and, you know, telling me that I need a plan B.
I love it. This next one comes from Isaiah on Twitter. He says, do you think you can beat Gervonta at 140 pounds?
140? I don't think he's a true 140 pounder. And you know, he hit Barrios with some clean shots, and he didn't. I don't know. He eventually dropped Barrios, but at the beginning of the fight, he hit him with the clean shots, and Barrios took him well. So I'm thinking that he can't carry that punching power at 130, 35 to 140. So I'll let the fight take on 140.
That'd be a hell of a fight. Justin asks, when will you be ready for a world title fight?
I'm looking to get my hands on a world title by the end of this year.
I like it, Brandun Lee. This next one from Twitter says, Brandun, when will you start calling out the top guys? Usually we only hear you say you'll fight whoever they put in front of you. I think it's time for you to call out the top guys at 140 now.
Maybe once I get a belt, maybe I'll feel like, you know, I like his belt. Let me go after his belt. Let's unify it or something. But until I get a belt, I feel like, you know, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing and knocking guys down, whoever's in front of me.
Okay, Brandun Lee, it's time for the last segment of this show. We call it The Last Stand. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. You just give me the first thing, young man, that comes to your mind. You ready?
Got it.
Here we go. Besides Josh Taylor, who do you see as the top fighter at 140 pounds?
Brandun Lee.
I know Boots Ennis is your guy, but who do you see as a world champion first? Boots Ennis or Brandun Lee?
Most definitely Boots. He's about a year. I think as far as career-wise, he's about a year to year and a half in front of me.
Okay. And you kind of answered this. If Brandun Lee wasn't a boxer right now, what would you be doing?
To be honest, I'll probably go to, you know, like everyone else, go to the gym, 24-hour fitness, go out on the weekends, work a regular job, continue going to school, and eventually do something in the law enforcement.
Got it. Brandun Lee aside, who do you think is the biggest threat at 140 pounds right now?
Biggest threat at 140? I'm not even going to lie. Gervonta Davis.
Okay. You kind of answered this one, but I'll ask it anyway. At this time, next year, Brandun Lee will be, you finish the statement.
A world champion.
At 140, huh?
At 140.
I love it. Listen, folks, that's what we do. We bring you the biggest names in the sport, like Brandun Lee, a name that you're going to hear for years at 140 pounds. Brandun, listen, man, it's great to see your maturation. I was glad to see you now on Championship Boxing, and I certainly look forward to your next fight on Showtime Championship Boxing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again.
Absolutely. That's what we do here on The Last Stand. We bring you some of the biggest names in the sport. And I'm telling you, at 140, Brandun Lee He's coming. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again next week.